the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AVWeek, episode 119, recorded Friday, November 29th, 2013. Supernatural audio.
Ready.
AVWeek.
Performing scan.
Week.
Online.
This is AVWeek. This is AV Week. That gentleman right there is Bradford Benn, and I've already lost control apparently. How are you guys? Bradford Benn. Bradford is the vertical market manager, themed attractions for Harmon International. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you this day after American Thanksgiving?
Yes, day after American Thanksgiving. The reason we say that is because we have two we have one fine Canadian, and then we have Matt Scott. The fine Canadian is Brock McGinnis, the sales manager for Westbury. How are you, sir?
Perfect, Tim. Pleasure to be aboard today.
And the other Canadian we have is Matt Scott, who's nowhere near Canada. He's in South somewhere in Florida. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great.
And last but not least, we have Chris Tatton. Chris is the senior systems programmer at HB Communications. How are you, brother?
Doing well.
Good. This week we're going to talk about the day after Thanksgiving, as most, at least as most mainstream media call it. We call it Black Friday, and they call it Black Friday because of all the crazy sales and deals and things like that, and what that does to us here in the world of AV, if anything. We're also going to talk about wireless spectrum. I know crazy topic there, but the wireless spectrum is under attack again. They're getting ready to sell off the 600 megahertz. Apparently, it's time for SportsCenter also.
It's always time for
SportsCenter somewhere. And
we also, I do have to say, Chris
yes.
does look very nicely attired.
He does. He does. In case
it's a professional show here.
It is.
Exactly.
It is.
We take ourselves very, very seriously.
Before the show even started, we were all talking about how we were dressed, and poor Chris was not. He had a T-shirt on, and it wasn't a bad T-shirt, but he decided to go change and put on a nice button-up. So cool.
If you notice, Brock and I are rocking the full formal for you. We treat your listeners well, whereas Matt's, hiding out on the. He doesn't even have a windscreen on.
Actually gestured for another
hiding
drink.
out on the Intercontinental.
I actually am. My water's getting low. I just watched the boats go by on the Intercoastal. It's, I'm really not here.
For those of you keeping score at home, Matt's in God's waiting room in Boca Raton, Florida.
Yes, he is.
And he's enjoying harassing those of us who are in snow.
Haha.
Or those of us who are just cold. So, all right, guys. Here's the first question.
It's really rough when it's 80 degrees.
Here's the first question.
I had to choose between shorts, shoes, or shorts and sandals.
And which did you choose?
No, I went with both. I wore the shoes for a little bit, then swapped to the sandals.
So let me get this
straight.
straight.
Did you take your socks off at
No,
least?
he did not.
Always. I wasn't even wearing socks. You do not wear socks with driving shoes, unless it's cold, and it's not cold because it's 80 degrees.
Is that Fahrenheit or Celsius for those of us in Canada?
Celsius, I'm told it's somewhere around 26. I don't know.
You call yourself a Canadian?
No, this is where we go back to. This is where we go back and we say that Matt is the world's worst Canadian.
Yes.
He likes football instead of hockey, and has no idea what the metric system is. So, all right, guys. So
are
it's
we doing a show?
Yes, we are. It's Black Friday. Honestly, by every account, either it's NBC or CBS or Google News, the New York Times, Black Friday was not what Black Friday was last year, and the year before that. It's down some, which is kind of crazy considering we actually have 6 less days between Thanksgiving and Christmas, 6 less shopping days.
But they also started Black Friday on Thursday, so has that become Gray Thursday?
Well, actually, they started it a week ago because some retailers were actually letting you buy stuff online. Walmart was doing some deals, and Best Buy were as well, where you could buy early, like last weekend. You could take it in, take some of competing sale bills in, and say, hey, Target has this widget for X amount of dollars. Will you match it? So, first question for you though, in the world of either Pro or Resi AV, what does Black Friday mean for us? I mean, does it mean anything at all, or is it just a way for our customers to get $100 TVs and we're stuck installing them? Mr. Brock, we'll start with you on this one. Even though you are out of the continuous 50 states, you do feel this somewhat at some point.
Canada has adopted Black Friday as well, if for no other reason than to keep our shoppers from going across the border to Buffalo and Niagara Falls, New York, to do their consumer shopping. So our malls opened at 6 o'clock this morning. Apparently they were doing some business, but there were no lineups, mob scenes. In the commercial AV world, Black Friday has no impact on us whatsoever. Thoroughly enjoyed, some of the Twitter feeds that were coming out last night. People that started shopping at midnight, $399 50-inch HD TVs, $275 touchscreen laptops. If people want to buy that product, God bless them. Let them buy that product. And I'm sure they'll feel really good about it as they leave the store, and not so much a week from now when their friends walk in and look at a crap TV and go, so was that free, or why else do you have it up in your living room?
Wow.
And I won't remember or
Came in a
won't
box
mention
of cereals.
I won't mention names like say Seiki and Hisense and all those other high quality TVs that they're buying for $399.
Yeah, the best one I've seen so far was an Element 50-inch for $229.
My goodness.
Hey, it's 50-inch, and it's by Element, the leaders in cheap knockoff technology.
Are they the leaders in cheap knockoff? I thought Insignia was.
Idea.
So, all right, Bradford. In the world of either Pro or Resi, what is this? What does Black Friday mean for us?
Let's see, for Pro, I think it actually starts a little bit of a downturn because everyone's thinking about the holidays, but that's also then like a week later, everyone comes back and goes, oh, I have to finish all these projects before the end of the calendar year or the end of the fiscal year, so everyone ramps up like crazy. So it's a certain amount of last-minute panic. I also think it does hurt the Pro market a little bit in that people see why am I going to pay, $1,000 for a display when I can go down to Best Buy and get a high quality, 50-inch display for $300. So I think it does have an impact in diluting the market value and setting lower expectations, but I don't think it's actually a direct impact to other than having to do the typical sale. You have to do a why you want to buy a commercial grade product instead of a consumer grade product.
Sorry, Brad, did you say diluting or diluting?
Diluting. I'm dying here. I'm dying.
I think what Best Buy is doing is diluting our customers into thinking that they can get a quality product for that kind of price.
I agree. Most people when they go in there, they go in there looking for these products that are basically they're stripped down versions of products that are out there, even if they are name brand, that have only actually existed as model numbers for weeks, just so they could have them in the stores, and then they could, at a reasonable price, or not a reasonable price, but a higher price, and then claim that they marked it down.
Yeah, it's the markup to markdown syndrome that you see in jewelry all the time.
Exactly.
With the 25% off sale that was marked up 100%.
Okay,
as somebody that works exclusively in Pro AV, I would say that Black Friday for us means absolutely nothing.
So the 4 of you are in America right now. Did any of you buy anything within the last 24 hours for Black Friday?
Personally, or did my bank account go down any?
Yeah.
Meaning my wife. My wife has had this. She does every year, and I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night and wake up in the morning, and she's pulling in with a carload full of stuff. So,
my gosh,
yeah,
it's like Christmas. It's a Christmas miracle.
It's a miracle, all right. Matt, you said you've bought something in the last 24 hours.
I did. I was out shopping this morning. I don't go out for the 12 o'clock because there's just I hate lines, and I don't care. And the stores that I normally shop in don't really do that big of a discount. Anyways, but no, I went out this morning with my wife and my in-laws and had a grand old time. But yeah, we did okay. We got some stuff. Kids.
Yeah, but that's because you're in Boca Raton and no one moves faster than half a foot an hour. So
you would be shocked. I was amazed. Yes, there was the slow-moving parade of people.
Oh, they got the rascals souped up for.
Oh,
yes, they did. They did. But there was a wide.
Do they beat you with the cane?
Once I did get I got a very
What
bad.
you call the whippersnapper?
Yeah, whippersnapper.
You were told to get off the lawn.
I was. No, I did get a wonderful disapproving look from a slightly older woman as I walked into Cole Haan today. That was a blast. But yeah, what do you do?
Yeah, but then again, it's because you're shopping during Hanukkah.
That was probably the problem. I said l'chaim as I left. What more do you want?
That was very nice of you. All right,
Thanks.
moving on. Good Lord. All right, we have the world's very first 3-chip DLP. Woohoo! From Digital Projection, from the fine folks that gave us the 1-chip and the 2-chip. Matt, we'll start with you on this. How big of a deal is
Stop,
Yes,
Tim.
yes.
It's not the world's first 3-chip DLP.
It says it is.
It's the world's first 3-chip DLP that is illuminated solely by an LED light source.
No, but it says world's first 3-chip LED 3LCD thingy, the 3LED
With LED.
Illumination.
Whatever.
Illumination is the keyword.
Yes.
It's all about marketing. Marketing is very, very gray.
Well, that's why I was getting to. But thank you, Brock. Oh goodness, never mind.
You know how I feel about 3D, so why are you even bringing this up?
It's not
3-chip.
3D. It's 3. Never mind.
It's the first 3-chip DLP that has an LED light source in it.
Yes,
it's not a hybrid LED laser. It's an LED all by itself, and it is offering a stunning 2,000 lumens. So as long as according to the spec sheet, as long as the lights are off, everybody's going to be very happy that this projector lasts 25,000 or 50,000 hours without having its light source changed.
And the shades are down.
The
lights are off, and the shades
are down. Yes.
And all the
time in the
kids in the classroom have their phones off.
Yeah, and no laptops.
All right.
Yeah, no laptops.
And no laptops.
It'll be a wonderful product though, with the shades down, the lights off, phones, laptops away, and actually sunglasses on.
So it's a fantastic idea. All of our education customers want solid-state lamps in their projectors. They want projectors that they do not have to service for 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 hours. Right now, the particular product that we're delivering to our customers is 3,500 lumens, because that is the brightest product that we can get in a well-made name brand projector, and it's not nearly bright enough for most classrooms. So now, instead of having to change the lamps twice a year or whatever an educational institution normally does, the students have to squint in order to see the content.
Yes, but in Canada that makes perfect sense, because the optometrist is not covered under OHIP.
There you go.
Good Lord.
So we're helping.
Don't go there.
Look, it's just
are classrooms really where this is targeted at? I mean, it looks like this is targeted at, more of a simulation type of, event. Although, all the educational markets want that, no maintenance. That's not where this, really is being targeted at.
I think,
Bradford.
as Brock pointed out, it's a cool technology, but it's not quite there yet. It's not powerful enough even for simulation.
Chris, you probably do control rooms, and are accustomed to using rear projection devices, solid state rear projection devices that are certainly no brighter than this. Some of them are 800, 1,000, 1,200 lumens, and that would be fantastic if you can get 25,000 hours or 40,000 hours out of a product like that. Do you think perhaps this is where digital projection is going?
It's possible. I mean, it sounds like it, according to the article, that they really want to get into that simulation type market with this. One of the key things as far as those types of control room knocks, those environments, is maintenance, because you have certain scenarios, power companies, etc., where that place is running 24/7, 365, and trying to find time when you can get in there to do pretty much any sort of maintenance at all, change a lamp and take down a projector for even as much as an hour to do some routine servicing is very, very difficult. You end up working really strange hours in order to try and accommodate the customer that can have almost no downtime.
Okay, but to that point though, what happens at that 30-hour mark, that 30,000 hour mark, when you do have to not only change out the lamp, the light source, you have to change out the entire projector? I mean, is it the same issue?
You go to Best Buy on Black Friday,
and you buy a $600
DLP.
Yep.
3 LCD.
It's going to be the same thing, Tim, when you have to change the batteries out on your Tesla.
Ooh, nice.
You really just have to enjoy the economy today and not worry about the fact that it's going to cost you the price of 10 or 20 lamps down the road. It's a labor saving. It's not a material equipment and material saving over time. That light engine is going to be far more expensive than what we pay today for a lamp. But the cost in many facilities, particularly if there's union labor involved, if there are restrictions that no longer, health and safety restrictions that no longer prevent people from changing lamps on a ladder, so you have to bring in a lift, and all of a sudden that's a two-person job. Labor is in the end far more expensive than the cost of the hardware itself.
And 30,000 hours is 3.5 years. That's a long time of not having to do scheduled maintenance. On a standard lamp that may need to be replaced every 5,000 hours. Again, the labor savings is there, and nobody says this thing is going to blow up in 30,000 hours. 30,000 hours may just be the rating for half brightness.
Yeah, and that's also 30,000 hours is 24/7. I mean, that
that's 24/7. At 3.5 years.
Yeah. So.
And to some degree, in 3.5 years, I see that almost as, I hate to say disposable, but there'll be newer, better technology, and people are going to want to upgrade.
The problem here, it goes back to the fact that it is only a 2,000-hour product. A 2,000 lumen product, and 2,000 lumens just does not cut it in the educational environment. It doesn't cut it in the corporate environment. That's a fairly substantial looking projector, so I have to think it also has a fairly substantial price tag. 3DLP will be delivering outstanding picture quality, but my gosh, in this day and age, nobody wants the lights off, nobody wants the blinds down.
No. Unless
Well, I want the blinds down.
Well, I want the blinds down because you're the blind guy.
I was going to ask Matt. I mean, how do you think this would relate to like the home theater market with people with a lot of money to spend? I mean,
it won't.
You don't think so?
No, there are much better products out there that fit that same bill with much better specs for the residential theater market. At the same time, I don't see this fitting very well in the house of worship market either.
No.
Just for those exact same things that we just went through.
Well, they don't get the use out of it.
No, they won't get the use out of it.
And they're not running 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, 6 days a week.
Exactly, and the brightness just kills it. I really do not understand. I don't understand how a Titan badged product can come out with 2,000 lumens in 2013. That's just, to me, that just seems ridiculous.
The only thing I was thinking is as far as home theater market where the lights are typically down to a low level, and you do have very low cost of maintenance. You don't have to change lamps that often. I mean, if you're just using it as a theater projector, you might never have to change that lamp until you want to upgrade.
That is true,
right.
but even then, we're not.
And what about possibly the acoustical issues that you don't necessarily hopefully this is a cooler and somewhat quieter projector than a standard lamp. You don't have to enclose it in a box necessarily to deal with acoustical issues.
Yeah.
Well, and again, that does make you wonder why it's being kind of touted and released at the location in the event in which it's been released at. right?
I think Chris has it right. It's a simulation thing. If you look at where it's being released, it's a government and it's a knock show. It's not a everyday. It's not Infocom. It's not WFX. It's not an educational show. It's a corporate, government style show.
Speaking of shows, Bradford, I think last week or week before last, we've been doing AVWeek live on YouTube, and if you listen to the podcast on iTunes, you might have heard us mention it. And we try to do it live and somewhat entertaining on a Friday afternoon. And he tweets something about, instead of watching AVWeek live, I'm going to do something else. And then he starts tweeting this wonderful diatribe about how horrible this experience was. The video is out of focus. This, that, and the other. And at first, when I saw him tweeting, he said, the video's out of focus and this and that and the other. I'm like, is he still talking about us? I mean, what the heck went on there, Mr. Benn?
Okay, so you sure you want to pull this grenade?
Oh, what the heck! It's 20 minutes in. Nobody's watching.
It's our show. Come on, we can talk about whatever.
Everybody's watching. It's a vacation day.
Oh, that's true.
This is where Felicia Day comes in,
which is not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing. Now that we've educated Brock during the pre-show as to who Felicia Day is. So my wife won tickets to Creation Entertainment's Supernatural convention in Burbank, California. Supernatural is a television show on the CW here in the States. It's entering season number 9. It has apparently very attractive men on it that a lot of women fangirl about. As I learned very quickly, being in a room with literally 1,000+ women screaming at the top of their lungs, I thought the Beatles came in.
Was that because you were dressed up as one of them?
No. I can't dress up as one.
I just wanted to know how into the fandom you are.
I was there to meet Felicia Day. I will be the first to admit that.
In costume or not?
No, I dressed up. I dressed nice, had a tie on and everything. Look professional, look sharp. No costume. No cosplay. If you want me to cosplay, I'll get out my little Star Wars figures for you. And
nice.
Very nice.
Or a little...
My 5-year-old son has that one.
What are you saying? Want me to go get my Death Star out?
No, I'm good.
Let me get out my R2-D2 for you. See, you've already pulled the grenade and lost all...
Oh, my. That is impressive. That is an impressive R2-D2.
I will...
Made out of
and particularly compelling to those listening by podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. We'll put pictures up. Hey, I'm nothing if not professional. You can tell by the outfit.
Yes.
So this show is put on by a company. They rent the ballrooms and they put on the show. And I walk in going, okay, it's a convention. And unfortunately, this convention was a caricature exactly of what we think fan conventions are. It was a Xerox 11:17 program schedule. The video was literally out of focus and under bright for the room.
Were they using the new Titan?
No.
Okay.
This seemed more like it was from like 1998, 99. It was weird. The system was 4 powered speakers of 1,000 watts to cover, say, 1,500 to 1,700 people. So, needless to say, the powered system was a little underpowered. The wireless dropouts started immediately. At one point, the entire left side of the PA was replaced by ground hum. I thought that was nice.
Jeez.
I'm not making any of this up. Literally, my wife is looking at me, waiting for me to claw my ears off.
And every listener should read your blog about this. They should read both your Twitter summary and your blog, Brad, because this was I was thoroughly enjoying it all weekend. You were in technological pain. I thought you were being such a great husband, even to stay in the room.
It was funny because no one there knew what I did, and I'm standing in line waiting to get my picture taken with people and get my autographs and stuff like that, being the good husband that I am. And people behind me are complaining about audio. People in front of me are complaining about audio. There was all sorts of problems and glitches. I think the fact that on the second day the wireless mic dropped out and had to be replaced 10 minutes into the first presentation just kind of. That was a nice touch. The waterfall, the ground loop waterfall on the video was just perfect. It sounds funny. It was a caricature, and the thing that annoyed me the most was it was good quality products being used wrong. I'm not even going to mention the brands. It was brands across the spectrum. I'm not saying they picked bad brands. They picked good equipment and used it wrong. But that's exactly the problem, is it was poorly done. And it sounds funny that my understanding is this is a step and repeat convention, do it once and just lay it out multiple times.
Yeah.
It really seemed like it was just, we're going to throw up the minimum viable, everyone's going to be screaming and yelling, so who cares? And it's more of the, okay, you're going to do karaoke and you're going to do a voice system with no subwoofers, you're going to have a live band, and the stage volume is going to be everything except for the voices. It was like a rehearsal studio. It was...
So, Brad, you've obviously thought about this a great deal. Do you think the problem was budget, or do you think the problem was a hotel AV contract with a very fixed inventory and a very low-level, inexperienced, poorly paid technician who had no idea how to deal with an event of this size with the limited inventory that she or he was allowed to hold in that hotel? Because to me, it's one of those two things. It's either the budget or the limitation of the storage room at the hotel, and somebody not having the hotel arranging the AV rather than actually having a production manager on the gig.
My personal feeling, and this is just guess, I have not had a chance to research it yet, just, this is, 4 days after my ears stopped ringing, is that this was owned by the event company. That this system was owned by the event company, and it was purchased by budget. It wasn't purchased by performance. And it probably works for a lot smaller rooms. It doesn't work for this size room. And if they're getting people through the door and the events are selling out, why spend more money? I don't think it was being I never saw any of the house AV people, and the fact that the lighting stanchions that they had Creation Entertainment's names on them. I think it was owned by them. I don't think it was the house system. I think it was I think it was a decision made that we don't need to spend the money on it because it's not going to bring more people to the event.
And what I love is the fact that that both of you have having an experience where Brock is like, okay, it's one of these two things. It's like this or this. It's like, yeah, that could be it.
Well, I have to share a similar experience. I was at the Commercial Integrator Summit, Commercial Integrator Magazine Summit a couple of weeks ago in San Diego, and I was a presenter at that summit. So, here is a room of 50 or 60 fairly high-level AV integration people from across the continent, and there were 4-3 projection screens, and there were two speakers on sticks, and the confidence monitor was downstage left as opposed to in front of the podium. So if the presenters needed to see the confidence monitor, and some presenters do have a bad habit of creating a PowerPoint and saying everything on their PowerPoint slide that they're going to say, so they're reading from it, and they're actually having to look down way off stage rather than at the audience. There was no fold back at all for the presenters. So, and we were doing panel discussions. I'm speaking. I cannot hear the person 4 chairs away from me on the panel discussion. And this was a professional event, and there was no digital input. It was VGA only, 4-3 rear projection, quite poor quality. I have no idea what kind of equipment. And the discussion, the conclusion that those of us that cared, which was about all 50 or 60 people in the room laughing at it, that this was a case of the hotel where the conference was held only had a specific inventory. They bought the AV capabilities when they, bought the banquet room and they and bought the meals, and the event organizers or the poor techs at the back had no ability to make it any better or make it change.
Wow, and
that sounds very similar.
That's something you see all too often. This November, I was at the Ritz-Carlton in Westchester, And same issue. They had a in-house AV firm that was running the event, had no idea what they were doing, had nothing on stage, no foldback, no confidence monitors, nothing. And, had completely improper equipment spread throughout. And I talked to the gentleman running the event and said, I know you have, audio guys, because this was for a House of Worship event. It's like, I know you guys have, technical directors on staff, audio guys on staff, and were you not allowed to bring stuff in? And it was a situation where they were not allowed to bring anything in. So they were stuck using what was supplied by the company. And exact same issue. Nothing worked because nothing was specified properly for A, the event they were doing, and B, the room they were in. And that's just something that unfortunately happens all too often in that aspect of the industry.
Yeah.
I think part of it is that we as an industry, and I take us include us, is that we haven't educated people that it can be better. This is acceptable. They're still selling out. This is, why do they need to spend the money to make it a better experience?
Even worse, Brad, our clients are going to events like this all the time, and in seeing and hearing this, it becomes an acceptable level of performance.
Yeah.
And so when we try and communicate that they need something better, they go, well, why do we need that? I was just at a big event at the convention center, and it was just fine.
Yeah, and that's when you really, I think, have to go and ask them, really, was it fine? Could you hear all the panel discussions? Could you see the video clearly? And kind of elicit those responses out of them where they can go, well, no, I guess now that you break it down like that, I couldn't hear them. And I couldn't see what was on the projector, and kind of get them to that level where they realize, no, that's not fine.
Yeah.
It sounds funny, but when the talent has to walk off stage and hand their microphone to a guest so that they can hear the question, there's a problem. And that's how bad it was getting. For those of you who haven't read the blog post yet, it's at bradfordbenn.com, but I talk about how the talent is so used to this problem, they know how to ring out their microphones by moving the microphones in a synchronized pattern. It's kind of embarrassing. It was to that point where I'm like, if I was the AV guy, and I hope it's no one I know, and I'm not trying to insult anyone, I would think about a job in lighting. No, on second thought.
Not lighting.
Given the lighting in the room, but it was one of those things where it was impacting the guest experience. And to your point, Chris, of no one sat down and said, this is kind of bad. This is kind of embarrassing when someone literally says on stage, I think I'm going deaf because I can't hear any of you.
I mean, and I was just going to bring that up. It's unfortunate that the people, if this is a problem that's been recurring, for this type of show, it's unfortunate that those people don't take enough pride in their work to be embarrassed by, these types of things, and to have the desire to want to do better, or at least fix it as best they can.
Or maybe it's a business decision where they go, like Bradford said, people are still coming. And so when you have X amount of dollars to spend on infrastructure, do you spend it on a mic, or do you spend it on,
But are they going to come back again?
Well, yeah, and that's a good point. That's a good point.
Are those same people going to come back again? If it was a lousy experience overall.
Yes, though. And I think that's the.
I think they are going to come back again because people are coming for other reasons. So it's almost like the AV is an afterthought.
It is, because outside of guys like us on this panel, even in the event I was in New York, I asked around to a couple of the people I were with who they're not AV people at all. Some of them are very technical people. Some of them are high-level Fortune 500 company, managers and whatnot. And their responses were, there was a couple of moments where it was something happened. I don't know what it was, but it was just, it was fine. It was okay. And
we had fangirls screaming in terror.
Well, I know yours was. I read the post. Yours was really bad.
But my favorite part of the post was when the presenter with the audio source had to put a microphone up to a laptop or a boombox or something.
Can you play my iPhone?
For the audience to hear.
Yeah, I got a picture of that. So
and we have this occur in corporate facilities every day. Companies do town halls, and they hold a microphone up to a Polycom conference phone so that the people in the room can hear the person at the other end of the conference phone. We've walked into facilities where they actually have a microphone duct taped right to the conference phone, so that it's as close as possible, and they can of course get as much gain before feedback as they can. And this is the world that we live in. It's never going to be perfect, and of course budget ends up being the big thing. If they don't have to spend the extra $4,000 on real good production, they will not spend it. So I think Brad, your next job is to start an online campaign against the production company. Call them out, shine a light on their failings,
behavior,
and encourage them to do better next time.
And the thing that I do want to point out in all of this, and this sounds funny, because I was talking to some of the people, the volunteers there, the people who barter their services, were all very nice. So like it's the actual company, not the people who are, I'll be an usher in exchange for getting tickets. Those people worked hard, did a good job.
Now, are you stopping short of calling them exploiters?
Yes. I am stopping short because it's a true barter. They get, instead of having to pay literally, and everyone hold on to your jaws, $650 for gold level seats.
Holy cow!
$150 for a photo op and $25 for an autograph. They trade their time out to be able to have those. So when you start looking at this going, $650 for gold level seats and it's sold out, yeah, they have money to be able to afford this. Yes, I realize some of it goes to the talent, some of it pays the expenses, pay for the ballroom, etc. But to Brock's point, $4,000 in rental, I'm looking at this going, I could do this with, it wouldn't be an expensive rental. I could hire many places to do it.
You're talking about an event that has gross proceeds of $500,000.
Possibly. But not every seat's $650. I'd say it's probably closer to $250,000.
If we weren't being recorded, I would ask whether the talent was clothed.
Oh, gee.
Yes, they were.
Because for $650, I mean, really.
Yes.
That's a different experience altogether.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Yeah.
You're listening to AV Week. That gentleman that had a horrible experience at Supernatural Fest is Bradford Benn. He's with Harmon International. He technically his title this week is Vertical Market Manager. Brock McGinnis, Sales Manager with Westbury. Chris Tatton, Senior Systems Programmer with HB Communications, and Matt Scott, the owner and operator of Omega Audio Video. Let's get us. You already took the card down there.
What?
I can put it back up.
Go ahead and put it back up. Go ahead and put it back up. This is Bradford's official Harmon. Apparently, he lives in Elkhart, Indiana. So.
Yes. No, that's where the office is. I actually live in the closest Hilton.
He ain't kidding, folks.
I sent has wood paneling.
Yeah, I sent Bradford an email. Good Lord, a month ago, and said, "Hey, I'm scheduling out the rest of the year because I know what depending on his travel schedule, and he's been in India and this, that, and the other." And he sends me one back, and I think this is the first time you were ever coming back from Brazil since I've known you. Yes. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm headed back from Brazil." It's like, oh, geez, that's rough.
Yes, if I come back from Brazil and then I turn right around and go on vacation, my body has no idea what time it is. It's amazing. I've been in the office this month a total of a day and a half.
Wow.
The entire month.
That's why I haven't heard any complaints about IT this month.
That's why.
Actually, the whole reason you haven't heard any complaints about IT, and this is one of those, of course I'm going to get in trouble, so I have to tell the story. My boss figured out how to make it so that I wouldn't have any more complaints about IT. He got me a Mac that's not supported by IT. So I'm off in my own little world, all on my own, and it's been running much better since then.
I have to say that I'm in the exact same situation that you are.
Me three.
Yep. They've just given up, and what's funny is the IT people in my office, my local IT lead, he's like, "Here's your Mac." Gave it to me brand new, sealed in the box. and said, let me know what questions you have. And that was it. So no IT complaints there. I can go on about how, like, my phone didn't work in Brazil for a day and a half, but what good's that going to do? I can talk about...
phone.
Okay, so hang on for a second, though. Bradford, I get. Brock, I totally get. Chris, you're a programmer.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
He's a smart programmer.
No, hang on. There is not a,
Ah.
not that I'm aware of, and correct me on this. Please correct me on this. Because I do programming for the school. I work for a community college in outside of St. Louis, and I'm getting ready to get another computer. The one that I do my programming on is getting long in the tooth. I have yet to find a native programming program, whether it's for AMX or Crestron or Extron or anybody else or Biamp. So don't tell me you use an emulator, because then I'm just going to be silly.
Are you using Parallels, Chris?
2 words. Boot camp.
Boot camp.
Boot
Not
camp
Parallels,
and
boot
VMware.
camp.
Not
Yeah.
Parallels, not VMware. I'm not willing. I didn't want a Mac because I wanted to run OS X and then run Windows in a VM and pay that virtualization penalty. I wanted a Mac because it was the better hardware.
Okay.
Yes, it is scalded dog fast when you run Windows under Boot Camp.
Absolutely.
I run VMware because we have products that use Windows Server 2008 that, I have to be able to support, and virtualization is the best way to do that.
If you have a reason to run, VMware, then absolutely. And there's nobody saying that you actually can't run VMware under Boot Camp.
Right.
You can still run VMware under Windows in Boot Camp. There's nothing preventing you from doing that, because all Boot Camp does is provide the correct BIOS emulation to Windows so that it can boot up.
Right. And the thing that that cracked me up is my MacBook Pro, boot it into OS X, start up VMware, get into Windows, get on the network, is still faster than a hardware-based, similar processor, etc.
Yeah.
Windows machine that you press start on and wait for it to boot up and all that. And I'm like, yes, some of it's the solid-state hard drive, some of it's Mac multi-threads better, etc. But it was a pretty penny, but to be able to run 4 machines at the same time virtually, which is what
it's absolutely worth it.
Yeah, it's the only way to do it.
So I think, Tim, that's 4 for 4.
I think that, I picked the wrong panel to ask that question.
We're all Mac users.
Yeah, I picked that. And I've got a Mac that I run my Pro Tools on. But that's...
You know how to use Pro Tools.
And this.
And that, yes, and that.
This.
Every time I see a Pro Tools rig that's on a Windows PC,
I ask
look
why.
at them and I go, really?
Yeah,
I've done that, and then
I know
then
you have.
That's only because I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah, trust me, I've seen other programmers that are like, really? You're using Boot Camp on a Mac? And I flat out said to them, I'm like, tell you what, let's shut down and we'll race the simple Windows boot screen.
Yeah.
We'll see who wins.
And then once you get to the simple Windows boot screen,
I'll go get a coffee, and then when you're done, I'll be
You
back.
come and find me.
What would you like?
I'll go make the
I've already
coffee.
loaded this room and moved on.
Yeah. So, no,
Oh,
Simple
the
Windows.
fact that-
For those of you who don't know, Simple Windows is the Crestron programming language program. You could start it, and in about 3 days, you might be doing work in it. So, it's not the fastest loading program in the world. Once you get in it, it's great, but once you're loading it is somewhat scary.
See, now if you virtualize that, you can just pause it and leave it running.
Well, that's true. I didn't think about that. I might do that. All right, from our fine folks at Sennheiser, my buddy Michael's not here today, but they're getting in the same not game, but they're lobbying Congress, lobbying the FCC, talking about frequency. And the frequency, apparently, the FCC is getting ready to sell off another block of frequencies that's going to impact the 600 megahertz spectrum. That's right, I said 600 megahertz spectrum. Sennheiser is not asking, though, that the FCC stop it or start doing some sort of regulation or doing anything, except they want the people who purchase this spectrum to pay the folks who have 600 megahertz wireless, which I'd be all for because I have a whole swath of it, sure. Chris, we'll start with you on this one. if this happens, how much should each of us get that have 600 megahertz products?
Oh, well, that's a good question, and I don't really know if I could put a raw number amount on it.
Say $1,000, because I have a lot of them.
Enough to replace the unit that they just bricked.
Or made illegal for that, you know.
Well, yeah.
You know, I think it's very important and for Sennheiser to be doing this, because of all of the issues that it's going to create throughout the production world that, you know, the FCC either is not aware of or doesn't care about. It's nice to see them take that stand and to stand up for their customers and to stand up for the people that are using their product. Because quite frankly, you know, it's probably not going to matter a whole lot to them either way, because people are going to have to buy more of their product in order to comply with, you know, the FCC regulations. You know, there might be, you know, a little bit more that people have to spend if there's some money back from the ultimate purchasers of this spectrum, you know, so that might be, you know, a slight benefit. But I mean, I think that it's good for them and good for their customers that they're doing this.
Well, and they and Sennheiser and AKG and a lot of the wireless companies did trade-ins when this came around the last time, where you gave them your old bricked, as you guys said, wireless system, and they gave you credit. You know, granted, it's not going to be full value. You're not going to be able to trade one for one, but they at least gave them some sort of credit. Brock, with you guys, I mean, I know this doesn't affect you directly, but if this did happen,
oh my gosh, it does too.
Does it? Okay.
Well, we're a production company as well.
Okay.
We got way more channels of wireless in this building than you do on your campus. I can guarantee that, and it's a lot more than $1,000 wireless because it has to be used on stages. So there's a couple of things that stuck out for me on this. One was, why is it Sennheiser, a German company, and not Shure, an American company, that is going to the FCC and saying, hey, this is going to dramatically impact our ability to earn a living. Unless, of course, Shure is complicit with this and simply wants to sell another bunch of wireless, having moved everybody from 700 to 600. So that's one point. Second point, though, is why is it that our wireless microphone companies are not able to provide a chipset that changes the frequency of the hardware?
Amen, brother.
Once upon a time, when we bought wireless, we bought crystals, and those crystals were a specific frequency set. And now in this day and age of miniaturization and solid-state stuff and chipsets, why can't I open the top of my Sennheiser or AKG or Shure box and simply replace the chipset with another? The power supply is the same, yep. The metering is the same, everything else is solid. Or are they going to make us go through this all over again, get our customers pretty upset, or as a production company spend a ton more money?
Do you think that antenna design, physical hardware of the antenna, is a factor as well?
I think that it is in a large distributed system or a production system.
Well, I just mean the antenna design of the receivers. There is a lot of RF math that goes into designing antennas that pick up just specific ranges of frequency. The chipset might help with as far as the transmitting side of it, but you still need a receiver to receive that signal. If you optimize your antenna for a certain signal, band, it's not as just simple as tossing in a new chipset.
So what does a half-wave antenna cost?
Oh, I mean,
$20 a set? $25 a set? So that's not a big deal. Chipset's not a big deal. What else physically changes when you go from 600 megahertz to 500 megahertz band?
If only we knew somebody.
I mean, you brought up the whole miniaturization thing in the age of miniaturization. Part of miniaturization is the fact that more and more of these components are being integrated together in a non-serviceable fashion.
So it's all one board.
It's all one board, all one chip, possibly.
So what we'd be saving then is all the metalwork, the LCD readouts, the power supply, the connection blocks,
transducer.
and we're replacing a board. So there's a lot of $600, $700, $800 wireless out there that's used in everyday applications, and I've got to think that that board can't cost more than $100.
I'd be perfectly happy to strip out all my stuff, swap a board, put it all back in.
Yeah.
Because it's getting a little ridiculous having to continually upgrade, being forced to upgrade because they keep pulling bandwidth or frequency range from guys that use this all the time.
And then you have the other markets where people like us aren't thinking about it, like say a supernatural convention that's not going to upgrade their wireless, and all of a sudden they're going to get dropouts all over the place because they've now gone to a lower, because now they're interfering with the new sold spectrum. So I think it impacts beyond that, it's the people who aren't going to stay up that it impacts just as much. I think the problem is, as Brock said, yes, we should be able to keep a lot of the guts. I also know as a manufacturer, there are all sorts of problems because now we have to put it through new regulatory testing to make sure it meets all the rules, and there are rules that I didn't even think of. Like, for instance, some countries test to make sure that your electronics work at certain altitudes. I'd never thought of that before. But so it's one of those things where it's an expensive thing for manufacturers when they start changing this, because we have to figure out how do you support, what do you do with legacy product? Do you have to do a trade-in? Do you do an upgrade path? All those things we talked about. So I really like the idea of just replace a module. But it's the exact same problem we have with these little devices. And I'm not picking on Apple. BlackBerry has the same problem. Nexus has the same problem of if this frequency changes, you can't strip out the transceiver in it easily. You have to get a whole new phone. I think unfortunately that mentality is what's leading currently at the FCC is we're just going to sell them a new phone every 2 years anyway. So what's the big deal?
Bottom line is, thank goodness Sennheiser is standing up for our industry and is putting this in front of the FCC.
Agreed.
Because we understood the last change. The 700 to 600 change was all about digital TV, and this was part of a wholesale change in the way that in the communications structure, and TV affects every American, whereas wireless mics only affect a few of us. The move from 600 to 500 appears to be spectrum sale for cash grab, as opposed to a requirement for a wholesale technological change. And hopefully people in our industry, like Infocom and NSCA, will enlist a bunch of us to write Congress people and jump on the bandwagon to say, hey, this has a huge impact. I love the way that their argument was laid out. There are a lot of jobs at stake. There's a lot of money in an industry that doesn't have a lot of surplus money, and it's a positive thing. But it blows me away that it's a German company and not the largest wireless microphone manufacturer in the world, based right in the USA, that is bringing this forward.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And although in Shure's defense, they have tried to lobby to actually stop the sale altogether. So now that was about 6 months ago. We had that story that they were trying to stop the sale altogether. So it's not like they haven't done something. All right, guys, that one's going to wrap us up for this week. With us has been Bradford Benn. Bradford is the vertical market manager, themed attractions with Harmon International. That means he gets to go ride roller coasters for a living.
Yay, and really. Go to Brazil, which doesn't have theme parks apparently.
And go to Brazil. They don't have theme parks?
According to them, they don't.
No.
They've got the Amazon River. Why do they need theme parks?
That's true.
Yeah, I was down there working on train systems. That's a thrilling ride.
Yeah, and they have football stadiums.
That was sad. For those of you who don't know, one of the World Cup stadiums, the roof fell in this past 7 days or so.
Ooh.
It was bad.
Yeah.
However, on the plus side, they killed less people during that construction accident than have died so far on Black Friday.
Very nice.
Black Friday has had 4 deaths already.
This today's Black Friday?
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
BlackFridayDeathCount.com.
Not today, though.
Yes, today.
Today.
That's what he's saying. Today's.
Today.
I just looked at it.
You must be looking at the Canadian version. All right. Speaking of
He's right.
Canada, Brock McGinnis from Westbury. Thank you, sir.
Always a pleasure, Tim.
Appreciate it. How can people get a hold of you, find you, and your?
I'm at Brock McGinnis on Twitter, and that usually gets my attention.
Okay. Very good. All right, Bradford. I forgot to ask, where can people find you besides at Bradford Benn and Harmon?
BradfordBenn.com, at Bradford Benn. Put Bradford Benn into a search window, and odds are you'll find me.
All right. Are you guys still doing your podcast? The Matt and the Brad.
Well, Matt never shows up.
That's...
I've been talking and no one else is listening. It's really kind of boring. It's kind of like, I blame Matt.
I do too.
It's my fault. Yeah. We had sushi, and we were supposed to record then. We didn't, so we've just been delayed. And he's been all over the world, haven't we seen? Come on.
This from the man in Boca.
Yeah, that's from the man in Boca. Speaking of Matt Scott, he is the president and everything at Omega Audio Video in London, Ontario, but he's in Florida for some reason for Thanksgiving. Thank you,
hot. Sir. Thank you.
Where can people find you?
You can find me at Matt D. Scott at Omega Audio Video. Pretty much the same thing. Type my name or my company into a search engine. You should find me pretty simply.
Now, Tim, remember that Canadian Thanksgiving already happened. So he's just
my second.
His wife
double dipping.
Yeah, well, his wife is American, so it's it's one of the benefits of being having dual citizenship for the family.
What I think we need to do is we need to have a big AV Tweeps get together and have Canadian Thanksgiving in Canada, and then we can all have a big U.S. Thanksgiving as well.
That would be
Only
awesome.
Only Brock cooks.
That's what I was thinking. I was actually going to volunteer him. We'll do it at Brock's house. He can cook.
Yes. No problem.
We'll invite the Twitterverse.
There we go.
I like to cook. You just have to bring your own beer because we're not a big beer house.
But they have good wine.
Oh, yes.
I can bring a couple cases of Pellegrino. No problem.
We have Pellegrino.
That's as strong as Matt gets. So, all right. Last but not least, Chris Tatton, who got all dressed up for us. By the way, congratulations on and everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for joining us. He is.
What's the congratulations for?
I just had my second child.
Yes. That's awesome.
I guess it would be 2 weeks ago now. Yeah.
After the second one, it all gets fuzzy.
Yet? I have actually. The second child, we were a little worried because we hear that the second child never sleeps, but our daughter's been sleeping very well.
Very good. He's senior systems programmer with HB Communications. How can people get a hold of you, find you?
I can be found either on Google Plus, or I can be found at LinkedIn,
really?
Or I can be found on a Twitter handle that I never use.
Oh, there you go.
Which would be at Chris_Tatton.
Chris_Tatton. All right. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's TD Tim David Albright. But more importantly for me and for all the fine folks that do stuff at AVNation, go by the website, if you would please, avnation.tv. AVNation.tv, you'll find this program as well as a host of others. The others we do on a monthly basis. This one we do on a weekly. But we've got stuff like social marketing and media podcast, a control show called The State of Control with Steve Greenblatt, education show, and a host of others. We just did a new DIY show. So check it out if you would please, avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. That's all the time we have for AV Week.